What's up everyone, Gambit here, welcome to RedWolf TV. Today we are going to review the Ronin Pistol itself. We've been working on this for quite some time and let's get right into it. So, Ronin Pistol. This is a collaboration between three firearms companies: Agency Arms, Lone Wolf Arms, and Ronin Tactics. Agency Arms and Lone Wolf Arms, I probably don't need any introduction because you've heard of EXA before. If not, please go through our older reviews of that particular product. Now, Ronin Tactics. In case you don't know who they are, you probably live under a rock, but if you are looking for any sort of tactical shooting belts, they make the best one right now in the market. Now with that said, Ronin Tactics, the founder, Tu Lam, is also an ex-Green Beret as well as a Call of Duty character named Ronin in Call of Duty. So enough of the background, let's talk about this pistol. Now, this slide set is based off the Ronin signature build that Agency Arms designed for Tu Lam himself. So you can expect the correct design, markings, and serrations all around it. So, what's so special about this Ronin pistol? Well, up to this point, if you're looking for an airsoft pistol that is suppressor or tracer ready and has an optic cut, there aren't a lot of options out of the box or without the need of you to modify something out there. Now, if you look around, you probably come across one of these. Now, first of all, let's talk about material. Most of these pistols are made of die-cast material. Die-cast material are actually a lot more brittle. They're great for budget-friendly builds. However, they're very brittle. If you ever install an optic cut onto the slide itself, chances are they will break very easily and they won't last very long. If you know how strict we are when it comes to durability about our EXA, you will know that we have went through extensive testing and trial and error to find something that's robust. With that said, I'm pretty sure some of you own this pistol and you're probably thinking, oh, Gambit, but my pistol never had any issue. Well, that's because there's a slight way of cheating it. Let me explain. So since these are die-cast material, there aren't a lot of space to work at the blowback unit. What the manufacturer do is, probably you guys are not aware, is by thickening the slide up top. They thicken it in a way to increase the thickness of the material so they have a longer threading inside. Then with this optic plate, they will also rise up to have even more material in order to mount the optic on top. So that's why in most of the budget or cheaper guns, you'll notice that this, like a spam looking or luncheon meat looking kind of plate on top of it before you have an optic to it. While there's nothing wrong with the performance of the actual product, it just doesn't look very enticing. Now, thread barrel is a dime a dozen, 14mm CCW threads. There's nothing wrong with these material. However, we generally have to be aware if the barrel's material as well. If it's made out of aluminum, it's lightweight, it's great, but if you have ever installed a comp, you'll notice that some of the comps have these grub screw on the side. If you install it, it will actually damage the threading itself. Now, if you do a lot of maintenance, over time, the threads will eventually be damaged and you have to change the barrel. So, what do we do with the Ronin pistol? Well, for starters, it's the slide set. Now, we want to make sure that it looks good and also it'll be strong enough to mount an optic on it while maintaining its rigidity. We change the material from a die-cast material to a CNC aluminum 6061 T6 grade. That way, it maintains its strength, and also it made sure that armor is mounted on and it will be very tight and secure and hold zero regardless of you're using a green gas or CO2 mag. Outer barrel, we have chosen to use stainless steel. Now, for a stainless steel barrel, that way, whatever type of suppressor, tracer, or even comp, even with the grub screw, it will not damage the threading at all. And because it's stainless steel, we can do all sorts of cool coatings on it. In this case, we use a PVD coating because it will look more like a real gun that's been shot for many rounds and clean, so it has a matte kind of finish to it. It just gives a more cooler and more tougher look to the actual product. So let's talk about the features from top to bottom. First, we have a threaded barrel. The gun will come with a thread cover, agency style. This is a 14mm CCW thread, so it will take all sorts of silencers, tracers, suppressors on it. It also comes with an O-ring, so for you film enthusiasts or just people in general like me have OCD, want to align the markings on it, this will give you a kind of like space buffer. So that way you can always make sure that it stays tightened and it will not come loose over time when you shoot a lot with it. As mentioned before, stainless steel outer barrel. Slide, it's based off of Ronin's signature build that Agency Arms designed for Tu Lam himself. So you can expect that the Dragon Scale Serrations in front, it's super aggressive. It's way more aggressive than any, I would say any airsoft gun in the market in terms of if you do front pinch techniques like I do personally, or some of you IPSC or IPSC shooters that actually do this technique, you will notice that this actually catch onto your hands a lot easier. Not that an EXA doesn't, but because of the way it's designed, it's just a lot more secure and it bites into your skin, so that way you can always have a more secure and a more confident rack every time you charge the gun. So, our armor optic cut. Now, we want to maintain and continue to use the Glock 17 Gen 5 blowback unit to maintain its strong recoil and its snappiness. So our optic plate, it's a little different than the ones that we've released in the past. Now in the past, we've released optic plate that is flat, because our blowback unit as well as a nozzle is designed to reduce its size to give a more workable space when it comes to engineering. However, because we're using the standard nozzle, we worked around with the plate. So instead of a regular flat plate, we actually have a slanted cut on the side, so it kind of like acts as a wrap to on top of the slide. Now that way, it retains its look and its slimness, and it doesn't deviate from the real thing too much, although there is some visual differences. But as you can see, we worked around with that, so that way the optic itself is actually mounted onto the slide, but not on a external spam meat looking plate. And next up, we have the CNC steel suppressor sights. Now, these suppressor sights are, as mentioned, CNC steel. So for those of you guys that want to use an airsoft guns to do force on force training, we do not recommend a prolonged period of doing so, but they have been reinforced. So if you ever train for one-handed manipulation, it can, but do it at your own risk because this is still a toy after all. However, we've included the suppressor sights for two reasons. One, if you install an optic on it, these will co-witness. So in case the optic do go off, you can still shoot through it. Second, if you want to install any form of tracers or suppressor to it, on most sizes, you can still look through them, so you can still aim through the suppressor or tracer unit. But yeah, and it also looks kind of cool, and it's easier to hook and rack as well. Last but not least, we have the slide plate. Now, before we have a polymer one, but this Ronin edition, we have the CNC red plate with Ronin Tactics logo on it. It's just a little bit eye-catchier, looks cooler. Speaking of logos, not only here has the Ronin Tactics Dragon logo on it, we also have it on top of the slide, and then we also have the Ronin logo on the outer barrel, as well as both sides of Ronin. Now that I mentioned Ronin, obviously we can't forget another license, Agency Arms. Now the Agency Arms logos, you have two on the rear that is smaller, and then your battle plate has a logo on top. The Premier Design outer barrel, you have the nice big A logo, and on the side of the outer barrel, you will see the word Agency on the side. And now the lower frame. Honestly, this is still the best lower frame that we've worked with. We cannot find any better lower frame for better ergonomics, and features is jam-packed. Let me go through them. First, we have the beaver tail. For some of you that hold the gun that is very aggressively over top, you'll notice that any striker fire pistol will give you a slide bite. In 1911s or high kappas, their grip safety itself is a beaver tail, but the thumb safety to some of you will be, you don't like it and get in the way, whereas striker fire pistol generally don't have that problem. We also have the extended slide release that will aid on speed reloads and doing all kinds of reloads really, or even just if you want to kick it up to slide lock. The texturing on the frame itself is the shark scale faux stippling because it's modeled after the sensation that you rub your hands against a shark skin. It's aggressive, but not too aggressive. If you have sweaty hands like I do, you will notice that this will come in aid very handy, especially if you do a lot of follow-up shots. Syndicate trigger, polymer base, adjustable, so you can adjust the trigger slack and pull to your liking to make sure your trigger pull is as efficient as possible. Then you have the swappable mag release on both sides, swappable backstrap. So if your hand is catered to a more 1911 style frame, this is the one to go for. But if you like Glock, SIG, XDM, all those good stuff, swap to the bevel one, then it'll fit your hands like a glove. We have a lot of these angle cuts as well as the accelerated cut to ensure you have a very ergonomic hold on the pistol, which honestly is not something that's offered to a lot of any other airsoft guns out right now in the market. We've come included with a Magwell, which is removable, and if you want to use this, you'll notice that this is one of the few guns that is come pre-beveled inside to ensure that you have a very smooth speed reload. Now we've heard you guys. We noticed that striker fire pistol is not exactly the easiest for most of you guys to remove. So in order to aid, we've changed the way to adjust the hop up. Now in the past, you probably had to remove the slide, adjust the hop up, reinstall, and test it out again. Now we change it to the guide hop. Basically, the pistol will come with an Allen key. Just shove it in here and then adjust. It's tactile, it clicks, so you know that you're adding more or less and it stays in place. Now, enough talking, let's head to GRZ for chrono and accuracy tests. Chrono tests, I'm using 0.2 gram BBs with green gas. So we're now at gun range 0. I've set our target 10 meters downrange. Honestly, pistol indoor, 10 meters should give us a pretty good estimation on the grouping. Yeah, I'm gonna be freehanding it and also running iron sights. So let's see how it goes. Let's go see those results. So let's see how I did. Whoops. I have here 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a double tap. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All right. So I was aiming at the dart circle. Honestly, it's not too bad, given I was freehanding it. Grouping would be something along like size of a palm. Honestly, it's out of the box. Hop's not broken in yet. And if I use heavier BBs, everything tuned up and dialed up, and with a zero optic too, I think this is a very good gun. Performed just as well as the EXA. So let's head back outside and wrap things up. So it's safe to say that the Ronin pistol is a great and reliable airsoft pistol straight out of the box, but jam-packed with a ton of features. Armor optic ready, CNC aluminum slide, CNC stainless steel threaded outer barrel, guide hop system, and even with a CNC steel suppressor sights. And you can accessorize it in however way you like, and this gun will always still perform. It's not only a performer, but it's also a looker. But how would you run it? Would you run it the way stock, or would you run it with all sorts of accessories attached to it? Let me know in the comment section below. For this cool product and many more, go to our online store at www.redwolfairsoft.com. See you guys in the next episode of RedWolf TV. This is Gambit, out.